Last season was my first season with Stanford as I became their offensive coordinator, and I was able to help turn their program around in 1 year as we would win 10 games along with the bowl win. Following our impressive season, the head coach was not happy with my offense as it was ranked 60th in the nation, and he said that if I don't take the offense to an elite level this next season that I would be fired. We would lose some key pieces from last year's team due to the draft and them graduating, but thankfully for us, we had the third best class in the nation coming to town this year. Our first game of the season would see us traveling to Northwestern. My offensive game plan was completely different than it was last year due to my offense being ranked 60th in the nation. I didn't want to lose my job, and I didn't want to be at Stanford for much longer, so I was hoping to post one of the better offenses in the league so I can get good jobs at the end of the year. I was telling Ari at the beginning of the season that we were going to heavily focus on our pass game as that's what worked out so well for us last year, and Ari and this offense under my play calling have been looking good in the first half. I reminded my team that I wanted as many points on the board as possible, so I wasn't happy when we came out of halftime and my offensive line wasn't performing well, but thankfully for me, Ari Patu was able to find Jason Raines on the left side, and he was able to juke out a couple defenders and go all the way down close to the end zone, getting stopped just short. On the next play, we were able to fool the defense as we threw it on the 3-yard line, leading to a touchdown. We were able to hold that lead going into the fourth quarter, and Ari Patu found Rory Hines wide open in the end zone for a touchdown, leading to an easy victory and a stellar performance by Patu. Our next game would open up Pac-12 play as we would take on Deion Sanders and his Colorado Buffaloes. I reminded Ari and the rest of the offense that I wanted our offense to get off to a hot start and put up as many points as possible, leading to me looking better, and Jason Raines was able to get us started off with a big play, but on 3rd down and 10, Ari missed this wide open pass, leading to us getting 3 on the first possession. Our defense had been playing amazing all the way through the first quarter, and Ari was able to roll out to the right side and scramble for a touchdown, leading to us going up by 10. So far this season, it was proof to me that Ari had taken amazing steps over the offseason and from last year as he was doing everything our offense could possibly ask for, and he would again extend our lead by throwing a touchdown pass to Silas Starr. We found ourselves only up by 3 in the third quarter, and luckily Silas Starr had some more big plays in him as he was getting close to the red zone, and I made a great play call later that drive, faking out the defense, leading to a CJ Hawkins touchdown. We would continue the pressure on the entire game as we were only up by 6 with 40 seconds left until this touchdown here, leading to a great performance and another victory. Pac-12 play would continue against Arizona State, and we were looking to get revenge as they destroyed us last year when we played them in Arizona. Luckily, we found ourselves up multiple possessions with only 50 seconds left in the first half, and after this touchdown here, we would go on to cruise the rest of the game as our defense and offense both played amazing. We would continue playing Arizona teams as Arizona was up next on the chopping block, and even though their record was 1-1, this was a really good team as they had a 99 overall offense and a 95 overall defense as they had completely turned around their program in only a couple of years, and I needed Ari to have a great game to make sure we won. Our offense had been struggling up until this point until Ari Patu found CJ Hawkins streaking down the middle for this touchdown. We then found ourselves up by 7 points with only 20 seconds left in the second quarter, and Ari found Brendan Barrow on the left side here and was able to take this run all the way to a touchdown, and I was feeling good until only a couple seconds later the game was tied due to an 80-yard touchdown run before the half and a 97-yard kick return touchdown. I was extremely upset as we were now tied going into the fourth quarter. So far this year, my offense has been leading the team and my defense and special teams have been letting us down, so luckily CJ Hawkins was able to pull this catch in here, but of course our defense would give up yet another big touchdown, so we had only a minute left in the game and we were tied, and luckily Jason Raines made this great play here, and from there we would go on to win the game by kicking a game-winning field goal, and Ari Patu had another amazing game. With the conclusion of that game, we found ourselves at the top of the Pac-12 North, and we continued Pac-12 play against Fresno State as UCLA and USC went to the Big Ten earlier this year, which led to Boise State and Fresno State joining the Pac-12, and luckily we were able to get a big touchdown to Rory Hines in the first quarter, but we showed no signs of life on offense as that was our only touchdown in the first half and we were down by 6 going into the third quarter, so after calling more of a conservative drive, we were finally able to go all the way down the field and score another touchdown. Our defense would give us the ball back as we were up by 1, and Ari Patu found Jason Raines yet again as he was just prone to making big plays all the time. Our defense would force a turnover, giving us the ball with goal-to-goal situation, leading to another touchdown, and our offense finally turned up as we ended up winning 45-13. My offense had been doing really well this year as we were putting up a ton of points each game, and I was hoping to do the exact same thing against Washington State, yet again another Pac-12 opponent. With the way that our team was playing up until this point, Ari Patu was going to be a Heisman favorite, and I started considering that we may even be contenders for the Pac-12 championship along with maybe even the national championship. I knew that I was getting cocky in my head as we had only beaten bad teams up until this point, but my offense was doing good while doing it as we would go on to destroy Washington State and get another victory. Halfway through our season, Ari was second in the nation in passing yards, but looking at the schedule here, the last half of our regular season matchups were going to be a lot more difficult than the first half. We would get our first true test against a good opponent as we were playing number 20 ranked Washington, where we brought our number 1 offense back home. Even though we were 6-0 and ranked 15th in the nation, I still didn't know how good this team was as we had only beaten pathetic teams up until this point, but I didn't really care as my offense was putting up great points and great stats every single game, and I knew if my offense continued playing at this level, I would have a great job at the end of the year. We found ourselves tied at 7 apiece with Washington in the second quarter until Ari made this terrible throw here, here, which led to us needing to answer back as Washington was now up 7 in the second quarter, but thankfully I was calling great plays to get my receivers open and we were moving the ball down the field, and as always, Jason Raines was able to get away from his defender, leading to a touchdown, but it didn't matter as our defense had been playing bad this entire game and we found ourselves down by 7 in the third quarter, so luckily Patu found Luke Thomas wide open here to get to the 30-yard line, and on the next play, Ari changed it to a simple slant over the middle and he found Ernie Hall, who was able to take it all the way down to the end zone. Both offenses would continue scoring back and forth, which led to us needing a touchdown late in the fourth to tie the game, but it wouldn't matter as Washington would kick the game-winning field goal. We were looking to get back on track against Oregon State as we dropped to third in the Pac-12 North standings. Unfortunately, my offense wasn't able to get much done in the first half as we found ourselves down 11 in the third quarter, and Ari was able to do what he does best, and that's create a play from nothing as he ran to the outside for a touchdown. And on the following drive late in the fourth quarter, we still found ourselves down by 4 until Ernie Hall caught this touchdown. So all we had left to do from there was run out the rest of the clock, and that had been working out perfectly up until this point as Brendan Breaux fumbled the ball, and I was about to lose my mind. I was nervous as there was 30 seconds left in the game and our defense had been playing terribly all season long, and it proved here as they let Oregon State score a touchdown, leading to us blowing an easy victory. I had never been more fed up with this team, so I began looking at new offensive coordinator positions along with head coaching positions. Our next game wouldn't be any easier as we were taking on 14th ranked Oregon, and I knew if we were going to win this game, we would need to have more of a conservative offense as Oregon's defense was elite and our offense had been struggling for several games. Luckily, conservative play calls led us all the way down the field to score, and on the last play of the first half, I called an amazing play to get Rory Hines wide open. He was able to take that route and take it all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. We would hold that big first half lead for the rest of the game, and Ari Patu was finally on the Heisman watch. We would be facing our toughest game yet as we would be taking on USC, who was the #1 team in the nation and the newest member of the Big Ten. We beat USC last year when they were #1 in the nation, so the team and I were confident that we could pull off another upset, and adopting that more conservative play calling that we had against Oregon, I let Ari run the ball several times which he was able to do effectively, as he did it all the way down the field and we were able to counter with a touchdown of our own. Our receivers weren't quick whatsoever, so I knew if they were going to get open, we'd have to call man-beating routes all game, and as our offense had been looking good up until this point, Ari would end up getting hurt on this play here, and the coach and I were nervous about his injury. Luckily, our backup was able to come in and find Brendan Breaux here for a touchdown, and hopefully we were going to see that more throughout this game as Ari was going to be out the remainder of it, and now we had to rely on a freshman quarterback in Kevin Richardson to come in for the first time ever against the #1 team in the nation, and luckily with his great arm strength, he was able to find Rory Hines here, and we were able to go up by multiple possessions, and I was extremely pleased with his play so far. I brought Richardson in because I knew the heart that he had in him in high school as he would put his body on the line whenever he could, which he did throughout the remainder of that game as we beat the #1 team in the nation yet again. We would have another Pac-12 matchup in Cal, and we found ourselves up by 4 in the middle of the third quarter in a game that saw Ari Patu get hurt in the middle of it, which meant that Kevin Richardson had to lead the offense yet again, which he was able to do as we cruised to another easy victory against a Pac-12 opponent. With only one game left in the season, it didn't look like we were going to make the Pac-12 championship with our loss against Washington earlier in the year, but that didn't mean that these games weren't still important as we were playing our rival Notre Dame and we were trying to still get a good bowl game, and luckily Ari was back for us and he was able to find Jason Raines for what it seems like he's been doing all year and making big plays. At this point of the season, we still had a top 10 ranked offense, and I knew that my job security was at an all-time high, and I was extremely proud with how this team has played up until this point, considering most of the talent on this team wasn't the best. To turn a team like this around, a team that has no speed whatsoever on the offensive side of the ball, it takes truly a great coach. So after going on to dominate Notre Dame, we had another 10-win season, and Utah and Washington would end up playing in the Pac-12 championship where Utah would absolutely destroy them. I was incredibly proud of the progress that Ari made as he was top 5 in passing yards and ended up breaking our single season record. He wouldn't go on to be a Heisman finalist, but he still put up good numbers as he would end up leading our team in rushing yards, and he did a great job of spreading the wealth to the receivers throughout the entirety of the year. Our last game of our regular season would see us taking on Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl, and what was crazy about this game was that it was Nick Saban's last as he would end up retiring at the end of the year, so that meant that there was most likely going to be a position opening up in Alabama soon, so I wanted to put on a good show, and after calling an amazing first drive, we ended up scoring a touchdown, but it seems that I had been seeing double as Ari Patu was yet again out for the rest of the game. To say that I wasn't nervous now was a lie, but Kevin Richardson had been able to step into the starting position all year, which had led to great things up until this point of the season, but playing a great team in Alabama, I was worried because they were by far the better team and had way more talent than we did, so I was surprised when we were able to get a touchdown and go up by 1 in the third quarter, but from there, Nick Saban and his amazing defense would end up shutting us down the rest of the game as we scored no more points, and this led to Nick Saban winning his final game as a head coach, as his team would go on to win the Fiesta Bowl. Penn State would go on to beat Ohio State in the national championship, and this is where I needed you guys to decide what my next move was, as I had received offers to become the head coach for a couple of mediocre teams, but I also received some amazing offers to become the offensive coordinator for teams like Ohio State and Alabama. Please comment down below if you'd finally like me to become a head coach, or if you'd like me to spend one more year as an offensive coordinator for an amazing team, leading to me most likely getting better job opportunities at the end of that next year.